part of the problem because once they start burning vacant houses, it spreads to the house that's occupied. Now you got that occupied house that the person there is living there forever and they're trying to do the best they can, but they don't have fire insurance. So now their house is vacant. So it's like a snowball effect. It just goes right down the whole block. And if you look around this neighborhood, all you see is vacant property, and it becomes part of that because of the vacancy in the first place.
That's the bad thing. You really hate seeing that when there's a vacant. And you got people on each side trying to keep their house up, maybe don't make a lot of money, and then they get that in between them, catches on fire and wrecks their house. And you just feel terrible for,
Even neighbors just trying to get rid of the blight and the dangers they got right next door on each side of them, or 3 down one side and 2 down the other. And they're trying to live a normal life.
My first day in the firehouse here, I almost quit. I said, you guys are the strongest guys I've ever met in my life. 8 hours of fire service. I had dead people. I had from a vehicle fire to a third alarm, a warehouse. It was all in one day. In the morning, about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm so tired. I'm dizzy. I can't get my bearings. So I'm telling you guys, I can't do this job. And I had this one old ornery guy came up to me in the morning. He goes, "Look here, kid. You just caught a bad day. This never happens. This never happens. You caught a messed up day. Make sure you're here tomorrow." He's like the only guy that talked to me, but it took all day, 24 hours later. "Make sure you're here tomorrow." It never happens. You just caught a bad day, kid. Think about it. You were putting out all the fires. You were doing all the dishes. You're putting all the line back on the rig after the fires. I mean, these guys are pretty tough on you. So I'm like, okay, I see that. Yeah, okay. I'll be here tomorrow. Go home. I slept all day, more or less passed out. I got up in the morning. I could barely walk because I was sore. Come back to the firehouse and got the morning dishes, coffee going. Same thing. Same thing over and over.
We weren't as busy every day back then like we are now. We kind of went in spurts and cycles, and now it seems like every day it's just chaos. But it has to do. It's got to be. So last day we had
Came up to me in the morning. He goes, "Look here, kid. You just caught a bad day. This never happens. This never happens. You caught a messed up day. Make sure you're here tomorrow." He's like the only guy that talked to me, but it took all day, 24 hours later. "Make sure you're here tomorrow." It never happens. You just caught a bad day, kid. Think about it. You were putting out all the fires. You were doing all the dishes. You're putting all the line back on the rig after the fires. I mean, these guys are pretty tough on you. I'm like, okay, I see that. Yeah, okay. I'll be here tomorrow. Go home. I slept all day, more or less passed out. I got up in the morning. I could barely walk because I was sore. Come back to the firehouse and got the morning dishes, coffee going. Same thing. Same thing over and over.
We weren't as busy.
I want to show 3 things to you. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now, last time I checked, they were not putting green lights on fire trucks. A lot of people seem to say, oh, well, they're not green, they're yellowish, orange, and whatever you want to say. But I'm going to tell you like this. I told you guys these lights were going to turn green. And I'm also showing you green fire, too. So go ahead with your denial, and you don't want to see things for what it is. But I tell you one thing, when this green fire get a hold of your ass, all that denying shit is going to be not allowed then, because your body going to say, oh yeah, the green fire is real. Your ass going to wish you had got you some green light protection. Now listen, what that guy was saying about the guy telling him, oh, you just had a bad day. Just go ahead tomorrow. Get up, wash all the dishes, cook all the food, then roll up all the water hoses. We're gonna just work the shit out of you. And at the end of the day, we'll just tell you, oh, you just had a bad day. Everybody on this planet are under those type of tyrant ass, go nowhere circumstances. That guy right there, I'll take my hat off to him, because at least if the rest of the world never tells him thank you, somewhere in his heart, he's going to be able to find out that when I put that fire out today, I stopped people from having their whole city burnt down. People like him is very valuable, because I got a lot of these green lights that's going to be going around starting fires every freaking where. So you guys need to tell that man thank you in advance, because his ass is really getting ready to get to work. You think he's working now? Just wait.
Every day back then like we are now. It kind of went in spurts and cycles, and now it seems like every day it's just chaos. But it has to do with all the vacant stuff, I'm sure. I mean, there's got to be 60% more vacant dwellings and buildings than when I came on, if I was guessing. It's got to be. So, I mean, like last day we had, what, 5 or 6 fires here? That's crazy. People don't believe, when you tell people that, they don't believe you. In one day? Yeah.
It's nothing for us to pull up on 2, 3 dwellings, or a whole apartment building, just the whole top floor just blown on fire. That's arson. You know, but you don't see that on TV because it's normal. It's old hat around here.
I see all the investigations that come through Detroit, and I know that approximately 60 to 70% of all fires are arson. Okay, so if we had 6,000 assignments, that would be the ones that are suspicious, incendiary, or undetermined. I think we had about 6,500 in 2008, and if you took 65% or 70% of those, that's quite a high number, like 4,000, 4,500 arson fires a year.
Once in a while, like the other day, we had an occupied, but that was a firebombing.
We're down from our peak of 24 investigators, and right now we have 17. 2 are in Iraq, and 2 are waiting to go to the police academy. They didn't fill in 3 of our retired positions, so we're down about 7 investigators.
The average age of a Detroit firefighter is like 42 years old. I'm 43. So just about everybody I'm fighting fire with, from me on down, is in that age range, give or take a couple of years. I started when I was 18. And when I was 18, there was a lot of 18, 19, 20, 20-year-olds. Those days are long gone. It's very rare to find a 25-year-old Detroit firefighter.
You know, it's a really horrible thing to say is that it's become a standard with the city of Detroit. I can't figure this out. Like I said, 33 years.
Yeah, it's unique because I don't know whether there's any other cities. Generally, people are afraid of fire, and what Joyce was saying, it's become a standard, and people they accept it.
Everyone accepts it.
I think the people that live next door to these vacant homes, they're afraid, but the people that are doing the deed, they've gotten away with it, and they've apparently gotten very good, where they've survived.
Our arson is so overwhelmed, the amount of fires they have in the city of Detroit, that I really don't know, and I don't know if I'm qualified to see the statistics of how many they check, but pretty much unless there is a fatality, an injury to a firefighter, or devastation to property of an occupied dwelling next door, I just don't know how much time they can devote to.
Oh, everything we go on now is 21. Most of the dwellings are 21 suspicious.
But not all suspicious fires are arson. The only ones that are counted as arson are the ones that are investigated by City of Detroit arson investigators and deemed arson. And because we have such a large volume of fires in the City of Detroit, we can't get to all fires.
It's been like that for over 30
Yeah.
years.
Oh,
It's still
I
going
know.
on. And I cannot
Sure.
believe that it hasn't been stopped. I can't believe it hasn't been stopped. It's worse than a cancer.
A lot of times people are there, they know what happened. They're in a riff with somebody like this one the other day. Guy knew right away. He said, I don't know exactly who did it, but I'm in a riff with this guy over this and that, and I'm sure it was probably him, but you're speculating, you know. He thought he knew who did it. I mean, it was definitely firebombed. It was a nice house. I felt bad for the guy, but he just threw it right through the window, burned up the whole front room, melted his TVs. I mean, it didn't just accidentally catch on fire. I just feel bad for people like that, but you get in these spats, and that's how they solve it. I'm just gonna come back and burn you up at night.
I don't know why they burn them, but it can't be for insurance purposes anymore because nobody has insurance. Especially in the
See, listen, it's for insurance purpose because of the fact that the whole city going to a state of dilapidation makes all the houses in the neighborhood not worth any money. So the people that's burning up the houses are the banks. The reason why the banks are burning up the houses is because the population of people in Detroit at one time was mostly melanated people, mostly non-white, the biggest portion. They were all making a living in the plants. When they sold all the jobs to Mexico, the people that was living in all these homes in Detroit lost a large revenue of sustainment. It was a deliberate move by the banks, an act of genocide. The houses that's here now have no use, no good. So how do they catch on fire? Because you have homeless people that sleep in these places at night that try to stay warm. Some of the fires are accidentally started that way. The main reason that these fires happen is because even though the house is dilapidated and unkept, there is someone who owns the house. There is a way that they can make money off of the house burning up. It's real simple. So there is a lot of insurance payment that goes on with these houses being destroyed. There's a lot of bank collection off of the revenues that they spend being very small to obtain the land. Bulldoze all these raggedy, dilapidated homes over that no one want to buy because they're fire destroyed. So who's going to buy it and fix up a fire destroyed home? No one. But who has the money to buy the whole dilapidated city? The freaking Jews and the Zionists. They buy the whole city, rebuild everything, and fill them up with Mexicans so they can have a labor source ready in Detroit to work cheap as hell, and they don't have to worry about them being hard asses or standing up and doing anything outside of being good Catholics. Because they know the true melanated people is going to wake up to the sunlight and cause rebellion against this worship of albinism. But they got the Mexicans really locked down and in love with that Catholicism. So they build all these houses for them to make them think that Mary and Jesus is blessing them. But the only thing they're doing is being set up to become the new chattel property that later down the line be victimized and murdered, just like what happened to them in Europe already in Nazi Germany, World War II. So the fires are, every time you find large amounts of fire, arson, and vandalism going on, the person who stands to make the most profit off of that is the bankers. The same people who own every damn thing, the Zionists. They make money whether it's, every time a fire truck get dispatched, they own the damn fire trucks. So they make money off that too. All around the board, they make money. Adversity or prosperity. They've set it all up. They're racketeering at its highest gear. At its highest damn gear. And the whole world is evil and polluted and nasty and stank and stagnated with their filth everywhere. Just stagnant pools of piss, urine, pus, and feces all over every fucking thing.
city. It just doesn't make sense.
We had one at church last night, on the roof of a church. Firebombs in church. I mean, you can't make...
If you want to know, in my opinion, the church is the first thing that should be firebombed.